Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. It's time. The final pieces of structure to go inside the floor pans on our camper conversion for our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso. In a previous video, you would have seen me cutting these pieces of aluminum out of a sheet using my skill saw and bending them on my home-built press brake. I've got one more thing to do, and that is cut the corners off of each end where they'll fit into the radius of the pan. Now, cutting the corners off on all of these with a skill saw would be A, a little bit dangerous, and B, take a long time to set up because I'd have to clamp each one of them in place. I could cut them with my grinder, but I've got a better way. You've probably seen it in the background of a couple of shots, but that back there is a very old piece of equipment, completely manually operated, and I can shear 1/8 inch aluminum with it. This is a stomp shear, and the way that it works is it has a blade in the back and it's got a foot pedal on the front, and when you push down on the foot pedal, it drops the blade. Now, obviously, this is a force over distance thing, so the more weight you can put on here, the more you're going to be able to cut. Probably wondering why, if I can shear aluminum in here, why did I do it with the skill saw? Well, like I said, it's force over distance. I can make shortcuts in 1/8 inch aluminum quite easily, but if I was to try and cut a 2-foot long piece, it takes quite a few stomps. Sometimes things shift around because I'm not clamping it down, otherwise it takes longer. Sometimes the skill saw is just the faster way to go. But for very short cuts like this, and I don't care exactly what the angle is, just put the corner underneath here, and I'm cutting about a 1/2 inch back on each side. It's sitting under the blade, and I'm not starting it over here. This blade is on an angle, so it's very low over here and it's higher over here. So I get a bit of momentum if I do it in the middle. And literally, I just stomp on the pedal. And off goes the corner. So to repeat this a number of times, it's very quick, and I can get nice, sharp, easily cut corners.
This is a very simple tool to use, and the cut edge that's left is very clean and free of any burrs.
To show you how fast this can actually be, I'm cutting one corner on all of these. I'm going to go through the whole stack and then I'll cut the other side. Because I'm not doing any super fine measurements, I'm just nipping the corner off so it misses the radius. I don't have to take any time to measure this out, and it literally takes seconds. Imagine how long that would take with a grinder or a skill saw. I don't use this very often, but man, when I use it, it's totally worth having. Now that I've got the corners cut off the angles, they fit in nicely. It's time to start tacking things in place. Got the edges all cleaned up. Ready to weld a couple spots across the bottom. And these diagonal braces that I have in here are just kind of resting in place to hold things where they need to be. So let's see if we can get a couple of, oh, I just moved that one. See if we can get a couple of tacks in here to hold things in place while I do the final fit. Here we go. One. Now, I'm not going to be able to get everything exactly where I want it all in one go because the floor does a bit of that underneath here. But as long as I can get the alignment right, then I can pull the floor up to it after. One tack in the front corner. That'll work. A little bit rough in the beginning, but I think that turned out all right.
All of these angles are being installed facing the same direction, and that will come into play later, along with why I've spaced them how I have.
And so on and so forth. I've got the first 4 welded in across the box tubes on this side. I haven't welded anything to the floor pan yet because I wanted to get the stiffness going across before I try and pull the floor up to it. As I said, I've got the first 4 in on this side, and you may be remembering that I said I was going to put 5 per pan section, and you're not wrong. I was. This is the door side of the vehicle, so the entry door will be on this side, and because of that, the shower floor pan is going to be on this side, so I need to have one that's going to be slightly different or not even there.
Speaking of not even there, that was kind of like my sunscreen yesterday. That's right, not even there. And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video. No, it's not sunscreen, it's me. But if you want to help support this channel, all it takes is clicking on one of the Amazon links in the description of any of the videos. Making any purchase on Amazon within 24 hours doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps me out. And yes, I am a little bit more sunburned than I was at the beginning of this video. Oh, and if you think you can identify the make, model, or year of this stomp shear, please throw a comment down below. I'd love to know the manufacturer of this, or how old it is, where it came from, anything like that. I cannot find any markings on it anywhere. I know that a lot of them had a marker plate right here. Doesn't appear to have had anything removed. There's no rivet holes, but if I knew where to look, I might be able to find it. Like I said, if you know anything about these or you can identify this, throw a comment down below. I'd love to know. All the frames are now tacked in place in this pan section. I've got to go along and do a weld across the top of each one. After that, I can start sucking the floor up. Still got to do the center section, and you know what I realized? I actually do need 5 over there. It's 1 less, but I need 6 here and 6 there. You'll notice that I'm jumping around a lot while I'm welding, and that's because I'm trying to prevent the aluminum from warping. I've got a few strategically placed clamps around the structure, and you can see me checking for straightness and adjusting the clamps to counteract the warping. Don't forget to check the links, comment, hit subscribe, and come back next time. Thanks for watching.